Demons, Deadites and Doppelgangers, it's time to get our horror on. Welcome to your weekly dose of horror news and fun. This is episode 8 of Terrorvision Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Dan McGuinness, and joining me as always is my co-host, Jennifer, the Dream Warrior Strand. Together we are two people with a love of horror and feel the burn of our obsolete Blockbuster memberships. Jennifer, how's your week been?
It's been busy, and not even a fun busy. It's been a horrible, boring adult busy.
Oh dear, why is that?
Well, you know, work is work and it's end of financial year, so trying to just stay on top of that and do everything I can, and working extra means, you know, weekends are no longer for fun, weekends are for chores.
Get lost?
Yeah. Well, you know, but that's all right. I still find time to sit down and watch many a movie and play a lot of Tetris. I'm playing a lot of Tetris at the moment, Dan.
On what?
Well, we've got it on the Nintendo Switch. It's the Tetris 99. You're playing against a bunch of other people. I don't like it. I just want to play Tetris by myself. I don't want to play with a bunch of people.
There are a bunch of other really good Tetris games. Like Tetris Worlds is really good. And like four-player Tetris, like, you know, couch co-op is really fun, where it throws it all to the other people. But,
Otherwise, I just pull out my mini NES and just play it on that.
Yeah, play OG.
That's right. I love it. I love OG. And also, Unsolved Mysteries is returning come July 1st, so that's going to be my life for the next few weeks, just binging the shit out of that.
Just binging the crap out of crappy mysteries.
I love it. You know I love my mysteries.
I know. So you make me watch them, and then most of the time they're never mysteries. They're just nothing has happened.
No, I know. But that's fine. That's fine.
Remember that like 5-hour troll one we watched, or whatever? What was it? Like,
it was Goblins. It was Hellier.
Goblins.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. They just went on. They went off the deep end and went into like ghost recordings, and I'm like, this has got nothing to do with goblins.
I really liked what they did with it, though. It was very enjoyable, and the second one was just as good, I thought. So
I thought it was super powerful at the start, and as every episode went on, it just dwindled.
Just got a little bit less and less for you. That's fair. That's fair. And how about you? How are you this week?
Well, I'm still dealing with my like ripped muscle shoulder pain. I'm going in for a cortisone injection on Wednesday, so that will be cool. Hopefully, it'll sort that out. I know it won't be crap. I'm also suffering from end of financial year stress with sales and stuff like that with my shop, the comic shop, like getting rid of some old stock and stuff like that. And I've been, you know, playing The Last of Us Part 2, which no one's allowed to talk about because story-based game. But what I did do...
Oh, okay, sure.
We're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into The Last of Us. No one wants to know anything about that game until they experience themselves, and I totally understand that. But what I did do is I live streamed a locally created game here in Adelaide, Australia, called Rite, like RITE. So it I think in about a week's time or a week and a half's time, it's coming out on Steam. We got an exclusive advanced copy of it, and we had a live stream of it, and we had the creator in the chat, and it went really good. Like all the people were asking him questions on how he did it, and stuff like that, and that was great. So if you want to check that out, head over to Hack the Dino over on YouTube, and you can check out, there's a highlight clip of the stream. If you want to watch the whole 3-hour stream, you can go over to Twitch and check out Hack the Dino over on Twitch and find it there. Yeah, what a plug.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love a plug.
Good old plug. In the bath, the plug.
Well, just keeps everything together, doesn't it?
Okay, so what have we been watching? What have we been watching? I'll go first this week. So I started off. Thank you. I started off with watching From Dusk Till Dawn. Robert Rodriguez and Quentin. Is it Quentin Tarantino wrote it and Robert Rodriguez made it?
I think so. It's let's have a look.
I'm pretty sure that's the
Yes. Yeah. Quentin Tarantino wrote it.
Yeah.
Along with Robert Kurtzman.
I love that Quentin Tarantino writes a movie, puts himself in it, and basically just puts himself as his real life creepy, gross, like sex deprived self.
I honestly don't think he could do anything other than that. So, works for him.
Yeah, we did play the drug dealer in Pulp Fiction.
He did, yeah.
Now, this was made in 1997. I had really, really strong memories of really, really loving this. And when I rewatched it, I loved it again. It was wicked.
I love that. Yes.
So the story for people who've never seen it, if you're one of those people that have never seen Dusk Till Dawn, the thing that you're going to do is stop this podcast. No, once this podcast finishes, you're going to watch this film. This is a great film. The story is you got Seth and Richie Gecko. So Seth is played by George Clooney, of course. Fresh Clooney as well, like E.R. Clooney. You know, like not even a salt and pepper gentleman yet. It's pure black hair or brown hair, like OG Clooney, like heartthrob Clooney.
Yeah.
And then you got Richie Gecko.
This is before Batman.
Yeah, way before. Yeah. Gross. And then you got gross Richie Gecko, who's played by Quentin Tarantino, who is his rapist brother.
Yeah.
Main characters.
Sure.
So straight up, you've got two main characters that are kind of bad guys, which is that kind of Quentin Tarantino vibe, if you know what I mean, in his writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd forgotten about this movie, how Tarantino this film is. Like, if you didn't know Robert Rodriguez made it, especially the first half of the film, it just feels like a Quentin Tarantino film. You got these long, thought-out, well-acted conversations between really good actors, like the opening scene in the liquor store, when it's like the liquor store guy and the cop just having a conversation. You're just like, oh, wow, whoa, full on. He's basically the cop character from like Kill Bill as well.
Yeah, of course. I think they all sort of interconnect somehow as well.
Yeah. Does he have like a Quentin verse or something?
I think he does. Like, I think he really does, but
right.
That's a whole episode right there. But yes, please continue.
Yeah, so you get this opening scene of like, you know, these two cops talking to a liquor store owner, and not you as a viewer not knowing that like they're out you know, Seth and Richie Gecko are out the back holding a girl hostage and all this stuff, and and then you know, suddenly it all breaks out with shooting, and you know the fight, the bloody. The store blows up and they drive off in. It's set all in like just outside of Mexico. So you get these like cool, and then it opens up. You know, the titles of them driving, and you know it's just a great opening to a film. And straight away, you're in. You're like, yep, they're bad guys. They're on the run. And as a person who the first time I saw this, I didn't know what I was watching. I just thought I was watching a cop and robber. No, what is it like? Yeah, like a heist movie almost. And so you're going along in the ride. You're opened up to like Richie Gecko, Quentin Tarantino's horrible character, when he like rapes their hostage when George Clooney goes out to get them burgers, and then George Clooney like has a stress at him, but they're brothers, so he has to stick together. And it's basically a story about them who they've done a bank robbery or something, and they're trying to get across the Mexican border to meet a guy. Who will take them to safety and, you know, hide them out or whatever. And that's the premise of the film. And then, you just suddenly, it's going on, like, and every scene is so good, and like, you know, the dialogue is on point. They kidnap like a family of people who are on a road trip, who is a preacher who has lost his faith, and they're with his two kids, and one of them is an adopted boy, and the other one is his daughter, who's played by Juliette Lewis, Juliette Lewis, and you get like some really strange scenes of her acting from the point of view of Quentin Tarantino's character. Like, you remember those bits of like this young girl asking like Quentin Tarantino to eat her pussy for her and all this stuff? Wow, real full on. Like this movie is very adult, especially like, you know, like. No, amazing. And then you got like George Clooney's character, Seth Gecko, is this cool, and like it's like he says in it, I'm a professional fucking thief. I do not rape and I do not kill women and people. I do not kill people I do not have to. And as soon as he says that line, you realize that he is the good bad guy. What are they called? Anti-heroes?
Yeah, he's
and
the anti-hero.
You just love him. I just can't get over how much I liked him in this film. Like, and he's not a nice character, but like. He's so good at controlling a room, and you can tell he is a professional thief. He can talk to people to get them to do what he wants, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch every point of him talking in this film. And he's got like some cool tribal like neck tattoo that goes down into a sleeve tattoo, which I'm sure in the 90s, late 90s was cool, but these days it's just like
that was cool.
I know, but these days every footballer and every rapist has one of those, so like it's just not cool anymore. And so they get over the border. It's all exciting. It's all tense. It's, there's dialogue. And they get pulled over by the border police, and it's played by Cheech from Cheech and Chong's. What's his last name? Cheech Marin? No?
Cheech Marin, yeah.
Marin. And then you suddenly realise as you watch this whole film that Cheech actually plays 3 roles in this film. They don't even bother. He just is 3 people. They just loved him. And they get over the border and they go to this place called the Titty Twister, which is a bar that's open from dusk till dawn. And so at dawn, they're going to meet this guy who's going to take them to their new lives. And anyhow, they go to this bar, not realising that, it open. Oh, then there's this really amazing scene of the name that girl. Who's the lady?
Salma Hayek.
Salma Hayek does a sexy dance.
Salma Hayek
dances with a white snake. Salma Hayek in her pretty much I don't know. She hadn't been in many films before then. She probably had, but I hadn't seen it.
This is young, yeah.
Yeah, young Salma Hayek.
She's making that transition to feature films in America.
I assume that she'd done many roles in her native language. I don't know, what is she, Puerto Rican?
Possibly.
I assume so, because in 30 Rock she was Puerto Rican. Do you remember they kept asking her what do you people call yourselves? She goes Puerto Rican, and everyone's like, oh, that sounds like a swear word. We can't say that. No, she says, no, it's fine. And he goes, no, it's not. Anyhow, she does this dance, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she turns into a vampire. And then everyone in the bar turns into vampires, or half the people turn into vampires, all the sexy dancers, and they kill all the people, and it turns into a blazing gore fest, which does star also in it is Tom Savini, who plays a character so appropriately named Sex Machine, who has the dick gun from Desperado. Do you remember in Desperado he has that in his suitcase, which is also a Robert Rodriguez film? I think it was part of 3 films, wasn't it? It was El Mariachi, Desperado, and what was the last one called? Something in Once Upon a Time in Mexico?
Couldn't tell you. Yeah, I think that's the one, because I think Johnny Depp's in one of them.
Oh, yuck.
Threatening to still fuck someone, I don't know.
Yeah, so as soon as that shit hits the fan and the vampires come out, it just turns into this amazing gore fest. And amazing, because you got Tom Savini there. You've also got a couple of other dudes there as well. In this, there's the
Danny Trejo's in it.
Danny Trejo is the barman. Cheech also plays the guy who welcomes you at the door, the door bouncer kind of guy. You've got the Vietnam vet character. He's also got something to do with Fangoria magazine.
Okay,
I don't know his name. I can't remember it now, and I won't be able to remember. Anyhow. And from there, it's just a survival film, a flat chat survival. So you've got a disenfranchised preacher, not disenfranchised. You've got George, straight away, Richie Gecko, Quentin Tarantino's character dies, which is great. You got the preacher, you got George Clooney, you got Quentin Tarantino, you've got, and then a bunch of the bikers and stuff as well, including Tom Savini and the Vietnam vet guy, and stuff fighting for survival, using all the weapons. And the vampires, they talk about how soft they are, so you can just ram chairs through them and stuff. And it's just, it's glorious. It's it's up there to me with Brain Dead and everything. The movie's perfect. I know a lot of people didn't like the sudden genre shift from a heist movie to a vampire film, but I was all about it. Not many people. That's a brave move, hey. To do a solid version of both genres as well. It could have not had the vampires in it, and it still would have been a wicked film.
It's still And, it could have been a simple hostage situation where you got to survive, but they just threw vampires in there. Why not?
I know. And then you have they lock themselves. They've killed the first wave of vampires, and then there's 3 waves. So they kill the first wave of vampires. Then the second wave is all the truckers that were at the place who get turned into vampires. They wake up and they kill them. And then the third wave is all these bats burst in, and then they have to take on the third wave of vampires and survive till dawn. And they get locked in the storage compartment because they've been attacking truckers there, for years and years and years. There's all the truckers they're their cargo stored out the back, so they go through it and find like crossbows and stake machines, and like just make crosses out of shotguns, and it's just a great film. I can't get over it.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's shot beautifully. Yeah. It's done on a film stock because I know that Robert Rodriguez uses a lot of digital. He was really an advocate of digital film, as in which I'm not a massive fan of, but like this one has got a very nice grain to it, which I really appreciate. Lots of browns, and it just looks hot. It looks like they're in Mexico. It's just good. There's lots of blood. There's lots of cool editing. There is a bit of morphing in it, which you can't. Morphing had its day. We remember morphing. It was in the Michael Jackson film clip, black and white. He turned into a panther. That's kind of all you need. There's a bit of morphing. It's not overly done, but it's okay. But yeah, so that's it.
Fair. I haven't watched this film in a very, very long time. So the two things I remember about this film are Selma Hayek, Dick Gun. That's it.
Dick Gun?
And that's it.
There's actually, if you go online or the extended features, there's like another 25 minutes of gore that they cut out. Like just stuff they couldn't use or wasn't allowed, and it's crazy stuff as well, which is, it's kind of sad. They should really bring out a redone version with all the stuff in it, because there's like whole giant monsters that they never used and stuff, and there's no explanation. One of them turns into a rat vampire. There's no explanation of why stuff's different, and you just don't care.
I don't need one. I don't need an explanation. Just chuck it in, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. I love it.
Yeah. Great.
More of that, please.
The humor in it's funny as well. They use it's got that Nightmare on Elm Street humor. Where it's not just ha funny, but it's still just a good laugh of this how stupid the shit's happening, and it's kind of poking fun of itself. It's in there. Love it. Anyhow, I'm going to go on because I've gone on enough. I shouldn't watch films that I like so much because I'll sit here for an hour.
No, you should. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I know. People like a good gush, don't they?
Well, that's what we're here for. We're here to gush over gore, really.
Oh, yeah.
Have a chat.
There's enough of it in this. There is enough. It's a beautiful, beautiful film. When I was watching it, I had flashbacks to me watching it before school. I remember I used to watch before at high school. Just get a couple of quick bits in. Fast forward to, it was back in the VHS days. Fast forward to the end bit. Watch a bit of gore before going off to high school.
I love it.
What have you been watching, Jen?
I've had a very strange week for watching films, actually. So I have watched a few different films, but today I thought I would talk about Anna and the Apocalypse. So I would like to start with, I like musicals. For someone who likes horror, I actually quite like musicals, as I have since and recently discovered. I'm not a fan of new musicals. I hate Glee. I hate fucking High School Musical.
I've never seen any of them.
The classics. Oh, my Lord.
I am a massive fan of musicals, though, as well.
So this is basically High School Musical meets Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, basically, this is a Scottish film, 2017, directed by John McPhail. A zombie apocalypse threatens the sleepy town of Little Haven at Christmas. This is a Christmas film, guys. This forces Anna and her friends to fight, slash, and sing their way to survival, facing the undead in a desperate race to reach their loved ones. But they soon discover that no one is safe in this new world, and with civilization falling apart around them, the only people they can truly rely on is each other.
Aww.
This film was a lot of fun to begin with.
Point one.
.1. So it starts strong. I knew that it was a musical going in, and I watched it with my partner, and I just neglected to inform her that it was going to be a musical.
Did you do that on purpose just to piss her off?
Yes, I did.
Excellent. She deserves a good piss off every now and then, that partner of yours.
Right? I know. So we started watching it, and then they just, all of a sudden they burst into song, and I'm getting I can feel the death stare. I can feel the head turning. I can feel the gaze.
You could hear the head turning,
Pretty much. Pretty much. So it starts out strong, you know, and then all of a sudden, and it's such a great scene because as everything is unfolding and you realize that you're in the midst of this zombie apocalypse happening, is she's walking down the road. She is none the wiser, has no fucking clue what's happening. And she's singing away at her little song, and everything's just happening in the background behind her. You know, the mailman's attacking a small child, and
so she's so into her song, she's not noticing the atrocities.
That is right. So it starts out so strong. It's full splatstick. It's funny. The songs I wouldn't say are memorable. Like I couldn't sing any of that to you now. I wouldn't even.
You can't remember any choruses.
No. And usually I'm the kind of person, like, if I watch a musical and I like it, I'll probably listen to the soundtrack the next day. And then I'm over it. But yeah, so this half is strong, and then it goes into the second half, and it's the same kind of complaint people had with Shaun of the Dead. It starts strong, it's funny, it knows where it's going, and then it's still going in that same path, but it's not as funny anymore. It starts and tries to be really serious and heartfelt, and then it loses its appeal.
Yeah, that's what happened with Shaun of the Dead. I hated that. Yeah. I don't want to be sad about his mum and shit like in Shaun of the Dead. So this is the same vibe.
But they basically do something very similar. I'm not going to divulge what they do, but there is a very similar vibe to it. So, I mean, in the end, there's not a lot of defeating zombies as such. Like basically they're all trying to get back to their school, which is where their parents and friends and loved ones are. And the principal has kind of gone a little bit mad with power, and there's this standoff between Anna and the principal in the end, which was very, very strange because he is not a singer at all. So it just became very awkward to watch, like secondhand embarrassment kind of awkward.
Is it gory?
Yeah, when they do the gore, like they do it pretty well. There's a few scenes where she's, you know, just beating the shit out of these zombies with this giant candy cane and just, you know, smashing something through the head, and it's good. It is good, but also
not good.
Yeah. Because I enjoyed it.
I'm looking at the trailer here, and it looks like there's a whole bunch of gore scenes in it. But they're cutting away, obviously, in the trailer. Is there a seesaw scene?
Yes. Oh my god, that seesaw scene! I completely forgot about that. Oh my lord! Yeah, we had to rewind that and watch it a couple of times because it was freaking hilarious.
Well, if it's got a scene that it's good enough to rewind and watch, it must have something there. It's like, would you watch it again? That's always like that's your main thing. If you'd watch a film again, it's probably got a bit of merit to it. Would you watch it again?
I think I would. Like, I think if we were to say, hey, let's have a night, we'll get some people around, we'll watch Anna and the Apocalypse. Yes. I mean, if it was just by myself and I'm like, oh, Anna and the Apocalypse, yeah, I'll watch something else.
I'm totally going to watch this. I'm looking at the trailer now. It just looks like it looks well filmed.
Yeah. And it's very well filmed.
Because it's cutting away from all the gore, and I just want to see it.
Yeah. The young girl who plays Anna she's phenomenal. I think she was in the Les Mis movie that I never saw because that doesn't really appeal to me.
What do you mean? It's a musical. I watched that.
I don't know.
Russell Crowe can't sing.
Russell Crowe can't do a lot of things, but that's okay. That's neither here nor there.
He can throw phones.
Well, he is good at that. So, yes, I definitely recommend checking out Anna and the Apocalypse, but I would probably say watch it with a group of friends.
Yeah.
Have a couple of beers. It's
beer and chicken wings, you reckon?
Yeah, beer and chicken wings, Anna and the Apocalypse. It was a lot of fun. Yes, check it out.
Yeah, it's like a movie night kind of vibe with your mates.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
definitely.
It looks good. I'm gonna definitely check that one out. 2017. So it's not even that old.
Yeah. So I did find there was on YouTube. There's actually the song that she's singing as she's walking down the street, with everything unfolding behind her. So I might post that in a day or so, just so everyone can
get a vibe,
decide for themselves whether they want to check it out.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. So we've got my second movie I watched this week was Doctor Sleep.
Yes.
And I turkishly went into this. Like, didn't even know what this was. I had no idea. I had no idea this was the Shining sequel. And it's not just the Shining sequel; it is a sequel to the Kubrick Shining, because they recreate scenes out of it. So, 2019, directed by Mike Flanagan. You may remember such movies as Ouija.
Which one? There's a lot of the Ouija ones. They're all a lot of fun.
I think it's the one you watch. Yeah, the Origins of Sin. Origin of Evil. Is that not the one you watched recently? Are there more than one Ouija film?
There's so many Ouija films. And then it's like Ouija. Ouija 2, Return to the Board.
Return to the Board. Ouija 3, Board of Directors.
Those films don't exist, but they do now. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look into it because I don't think it's going to be the same film.
That's good because you hated that Ouija film.
Yeah. No, this is a different... Yeah, okay, I see what it is. No, this is a different one.
Oh, good. Well, because I was like, I saw that and I was like, maybe I won't watch this. But then I watched it anyway. Because I should have worked it out by the cover of the video. It was like it was all red and it had the little Danny dude going down in his little trike. But me being me, I didn't even focus. You know what I mean? I just read the word Dr. Sleep and I went, Dr. Sleep, that's a comic that I sell. And it has nothing to do with the comic. So I got it thinking it was a comic book movie and got it. And then it opened up and I was just like, hang on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, showing rebits from like, and so they remake a whole bunch of I should say what it's about for the people who this film is,
if you haven't seen.
Yeah, this film is kind of recent, so obviously we're not going to get into what happens at the end. It's only like from last year, from 2009, but it is a sequel to The Shining, the Stanley Kubrick Shining. They're based on a Stephen King book of the same name, Dr. Sleep. Years later, he revisited the idea of like Danny Torrance, who was the little kid as a grown-up character, and what happened to him after the events in the Overlook Hotel. And so it follows Danny as a man now, and he's played by Ewan McGregor. And I'm like, dang, Ewan McGregor, he's a great actor. And you know what? He was in this as well. He was really good. This film, it's hard to explain this film. The story is he's an old man now. He's still haunted by the things that happened to him at the hotel, namely like his dad trying to kill him and stuff like that. And he becomes an alcoholic, and then he like leaves town, and he goes to a small town to get away, joins AA, and cleans up his life. And his life's fine. Yeah. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, there's another little girl who has The Shining, which is The Shining, as we know, is the power, which in the original Kubrick movie, they didn't get much into The Shining, did they? As in, it's called The Shining, but it didn't have much to do with the film. Until this film, when it said, I see, it might have said this in the original film and I might have glazed over it, but in this, they're like, the reason you had so much trouble at the hotel is that it was a haunted place and the ghosts are really attracted to The Shining, and that he had so much shining in him that it made everything go haywire. And I was like, I didn't know that. Like, that was what was happened. I never knew what happened in the Shining film. I just thought it was a haunted hotel, and for some reason, the kid had powers for no apparent reason.
Okay. I think there is a scene, and Scatman Carruthers is like talking to Danny and explaining a little. I know that there is a little bit of information about it, but not a huge amount.
Now, I love The Shining, the original, but I'm nowhere near a expert on The Shining. So people who love The Shining are probably going to facepalm a bit from what I say about it, if you know what I mean. As a craft point of view, the shots are beautiful and stuff like that, and that's all I kind of understand with that film.
Sure.
And also that trailer of the Redux. The Redux.
Oh, so good. I love it.
So they were really, this film was really trying to recreate that Stanley Kubrick feeling of filmmaking and the craft that he used. The only problem with Stanley Kubrick filmmaking is that you can't do it unless you're him. Like you can't, as I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
you can't do one shot 300 times. You know what I mean? In this day and age, to get that perfect shot, which is
Yeah.
what he was known to do. There were a couple of really nice shots in it, and ones that did. They were very homage to the original one, but yeah, and they did it with a whole bunch of shots.
Yeah.
And there were some really amazing scenes in this film. Like early on, I was like, there's a cat in it. Do you remember the cat that so the main character is working in a nursing home as an orderly, and there's a cat in there that when a person is going to die, it goes and sits at the foot of their bed, and all the patients know that. And they're fine with that. They just know it's time to go. And that scene was really beautifully written. I thought it was really good. Then I looked that up, and that cat is based on a folklore that actually did happen. It's written in a whole bunch of medical journals. There was a cat that did this in real life. What? And I'm like, that's crazy. And then my wife was like, it's not real. I said, it's in medical journals.
Well, it's got to be real.
Yeah. And as it was going on, there's all these story threads opening up, and there's so many characters, and more characters come into it, and more characters come into it, and I was like, holy shit, what's going on? And I started to get lost. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, they introduced Rose the Hat, which is such a Stephen King character name. So if you want to imagine what Rose the Hat is, she's basically like an evil Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, that's the only way to describe her.
Yeah, or an evil. Like she looks like she's dressed like she's waiting. She's an extra in a Frente fucking film clip. She looked a bit ridiculous to me. She is a group of basically shining vampires. So these are people that eat the shining from people, so they hunt the shining, and they do it horribly, and they do it to kids, and they have to for them for the shining people to taste good, they have to torture you first. The more fear you have in you and the more pain you have in you before you die, the more feed they get out of you. So they torture children and that. So straight away they really dig in of how evil these people are. And also, they're not
nice.
They're really arrogant. They think they're the top of the food chain. They think people or everyone are idiots. And you hate her so much from the start. I hated her. I was just like, I'm going to watch this just to see this girl die. I hate this.
I was really torn. I was so torn because I'm like, you are a terrible person, but you're doing such an amazing job at being a terrible person, and you're also very attractive right now.
Oh, yeah.
I had a lot of weird feelings. There was a lot of weird feelings.
Yeah. But and that was what made it great and good. And so all this is happening.
Exactly.
And you're getting confused. They introduce this new character as well, a young girl across the other, somewhere in America. Yeah. And her name is Abra, which I thought was really weird because they as in abracadabra. And who would name their child that? And they do mention abracadabra straight away. Like they introduce her from watching a magician at her party, and I'm like, oh, okay, a bit cheese, but whatever. So she is a super powerful shiner, and these people, the evil Stevie Nickses, I can't remember what they were called. The evil people, they were what their race, not race, but what their monsters, whatever they were called. They had a name. I can't remember what they were called. They can sense when people use the power, and that's how they track them down, all this stuff. Anyhow, all this stuff's happening. It's getting quite confusing. There's cats. There's also the main character learns to create boxes in his head to lock up the evil and all stuff like that. Like through the teaching of the guy from The Shining, the first guy. What was his name? You said his name before.
It's Dick Halloran.
Yeah, but it's not him in the movie, is it? It's just a good lookalike.
No. They Carl Lumbly plays Dick Halloran in this film because Scatman Carruthers is long dead.
Yes, that's what I thought. And he appears as a ghost to Danny, and the hotel kind of followed him as he was a child, and the ghost of that guy kind of teaches him how to trap the ghosts in metaphorical boxes within his mind. Let's just go there. And it was getting confusing. It was getting confusing. And I'm like, oh man, they're not going to be able to solve this. And I paused it. And then I realized, hang on, there's still an hour and a half to go of this film. And I looked, and it's over.
This film is long.
It's over 3 hours long. And I was like, dang. And it's got even like bits in it, chapters where it stops and it goes chapter 4. And it's got a name for the chapter. And I'm like, this felt like a really long, good TV show. They could have split it up. I feel they could have split it up into like 6 episodes of like half an hour. And it would have been really good. Like, or split the chapters up. It took me a whole day to watch because I kept stopping and starting again, but it felt really good.
Yeah.
They had there were some really cool bits I thought where they'd had they were driving for some reason. What we're not going to go into it. They have to go back to the hotel, and they have these sweeping shots like the first Shining, of like when Jack and his family are driving to the hotel. These were the same kind of shots, but they were like at night and it was snowy instead of being not snowy. And I thought, man, they look real. They've really remade them really well. Then I read afterwards that they are the exact shots from The Shining, and they've done day for night, and they've added CG snow onto all the trees. I'm like, that's cool.
Amazing.
And so they're the only 3 shots that they actually used, or a couple of shots that they used from the original film. And then when they wanted to they went back to show what had happened previously, they recreated all the scenes from The Shining, which was quite well done. I was like, they redid the Danny driving his trike around the halls and stuff like that. And apparently the director got the plans of the hotel from Kubrick's estate and remade the hotel. Like,
that's dedication.
I know. And this film is if you're a Kubrick fan, if you're a fan of the first movie and you're a Stephen King fan, this movie is really worth watching. It does feel like a Stephen King novel. It feels as long as a Stephen King novel as well. But like, there isn't many bits in it I could falter, hey? Like, and as it went on,
it was
the second half really explained the first half quite well. So I was like, it does end up being like vampires versus superheroes at the end, but like, I'm fine with that. But basically, it was good. It had an ending. It made sense. You know what I mean? Like, I liked the cockiness almost of the young new girl that had the Shining, of her, like her and Danny have to team up to fight the evil Frente girl, evil Stevie Nicks. And it's just great. Good. Everything made sense. It looked great. Like, a good film. Like, I thought it was going to be shit. I honestly thought it was going to be shit. And I don't love every film. I'd have this episode, but like, yeah.
That scene where he's in his, like, he's not gotten himself together yet, but he spends the night with a lady and ends up stealing from her. And oh my lord!
Oh yeah, that was fucked.
That fucked. I needed to stop and just hold my cat for a minute and just pat the cat. I'm like, that's sad.
Yeah, he's hit rock bottom. He's got a beard, clearly showing he's hit rock bottom. He has the beard, and
you've got a beard.
Yeah, and he like wakes up and he's been in a fight. He's hungover. The girl he's with is next to him, like in a pool of her own dried up vomit. You don't even know if she's alive. And then
she's not alive.
And then he like goes to like steal her money because she spent all his money on cocaine. And as he steals her money, and as he's leaving, like, her little baby comes out. Like,
yep.
So then she's also got a baby, and he just fucks off for it, basically, and just you never know what happens until later on when they show up as ghosts, and they both died.
My lord.
From him leaving them there. She never woke. She died.
Was already, he left her. She was dead, so he never checked on her. She was dead, and then obviously no one came. Which leads me to believe, what the fuck are you doing in an apartment building and you have not seen your neighbor leave at any point and you can just hear a baby crying?
If that happened, I don't know, man. Like, if that happened in my neighborhood, I don't reckon anyone would notice.
Yeah.
Us is a pretty... Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, there are some very disturbing scenes in there. So
that was heartbreaking. Like, that was pretty sad. I was like, oh.
He hit rock bottom pretty hard, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like,
that's rock bottom. You can't go any further than that. That's it. You're done.
Yeah.
I always worry when Ewan McGregor's in things because I don't really like his American accent.
Oh, really?
Like, I don't know.
This is why I don't like flying. of Star Wars. I always get upset when, like, because up until he did Star Wars, basically you got to see Ewan McGregor's penis in every Ewan McGregor film. And, like, Star Wars really ruined that, hey? Like, it's all of a sudden there's no Ewan McGregor dick, and then he's like, well, now I don't have to do it. And I'm like, no, you do. You do.
Should be part of your contract, mate.
It should be. It should be. I'm pretty sure it was. It wasn't, but it was part of his contract that he comes and goes, I have to show my penis.
Yeah, I need to show it. It's like, but Mr. McGregor, there is no reason for you to be naked at all in this film. I have to show it.
Mr. McGregor, this is a Disney film. This is a cartoon.
An animated children's film, but still.
Draw it in. Yeah. Draw it in. No, yeah. Great film. Anyone who's a fan of The Shining should give it a watch. Like I say, it isn't The Shining. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's nothing will be The Shining. Kubrick is like a weird freak of nature that happened in the film industry. But it's probably 80% there, if you know what I mean, like to being up there with like a really good one. I never saw the remake of The Shining, but I assume it was bad.
I actually I've just found a copy because I was having a conversation with someone recently that I've not seen it in a number of years. So I have made it my mission to watch it because it is a TV movie, so it's super fucking long. And it's what King wanted. So it's closer to the book, which people said is at its detriment. So
I'm wondering how close Dr. Sleep was to the book. I reckon I felt like after like the 3 hours at the end, I'm like, did they put every line of dialogue from the novel in it? Like it just seemed like they didn't try and skimp on anything. 3 hours
is a long movie.
That's a power move. That's like over 3 hours as well. Well, it was over. It was definitely. That's
Ewan McGregor's dick right there. It's a power move.
Oh yeah, you know? He probably swung it around. He knocked someone senseless, and they're like, "Sure, 3 hours is fine."
3 hours.
I don't want another dick to the head. Anyhow, what was your second film, Jen?
Great. So I watched Jaws 3D.
Ooh.
Because why the shit not? I've never seen Jaws 3D. And I was super excited because we have a 3D TV. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I love 3D movies.
Oh, really?
3D horror. Yes.
You're the person that bought one.
Only 3D. No, I never bought one. No. I only like 3D horror, though. Don't even get me started on Avatar. That's a whole conversation that I fucking hate it.
You say don't get me started on Avatar every single episode.
I know. One day I'm going to do a whole episode on my hatred for Avatar.
You're going to, if we ever do merchandise, your merch is going to say, Jennifer, don't get her started on Avatar.
For sure. But we couldn't find the glasses for the TV, so I had to just, I didn't get to watch it in 3D, and I feel that it ruined my experience.
What a terrible story and sad story. Like, you just went on about your bloody 3D TV. You finally found a reason to use it, and you couldn't find the bloody glasses.
That's right. So, Jaws 3D, 1983, directed by Jerry Alves. It's the only film he has ever directed, but he was the production designer for Jaws and Jaws 2.
I wonder why I just stopped there after making the best film. Wait, is Jaws 3D? Is it just Jaws in 3D?
No. So this is completely different story.
It's Jaws 3.
Yes, it's Jaws 3D. This film is suggested by Peter Benchley, who actually wrote Jaws. So there is nothing to do with Jaws, realistically, at all in this film.
Is there a shark in it?
There is a shark in it. So this third film in the series follows a group of marine biologists attempting to capture a young great white shark that has wandered into Florida's SeaWorld park. However, later it's discovered that the shark's 35-foot mother is also a guest at SeaWorld. What follows is the shark wreaking havoc on the visitors in the park.
Well, from land,
No, but also check out the trailer for Land Shark because that's going to be fucking amazing.
Land Shark?
Land Shark, yes.
Aren't they called lions?
For sure. So basically, this film is terrible from start to finish, and I loved every second of it. It stars a very, very young Dennis Quaid, and it's Leah Thompson's first feature film role.
That's great.
Yeah, he's very young. So basically, it's the Brody boys. So Brody from the first Jaws movie, it's his two boys, now grown up, working for this park. And this SeaWorld park it's about to open, so it kind of fits in with the whole Jurassic World kind of like, oh, we shouldn't have done it, but we did it, and now everything's gone to shit, and we're like, why did this happen? That kind of thing. So the whole film is kind of like set in this lagoon, but the lagoon is also a basically deep sea expedition because there is so much depth to this water. It is insane and insanely stupid, which I love.
Is that the one? Is this the Jaws one where it gets its head stuck in an underwater base and it's just like this, like clearly a toy shark just wobbling its head in a? Is that one?
It does sound very familiar. There's not a lot of the shark that you see. Okay. And when you do see it, it is a lot of animated. So it's not even like they've tried to create a mechanical shark or some kind of shark prop. It's just someone's kind of drawn a picture of it.
Yes. The best
and I love it. And it's one of these films that you can clearly see that they've gone, okay, it's a 3D film. We need more 3D. Throw this in, this, do this. And so there's like, it bites a fish and then the fish's head just kind of bobbles out at you and you're like, oh, that's cool. That would definitely look really good if my 3D fucking TV worked.
Is there an old man that points to them going, you will die, and he points at the camera? They have to be in every 3D film. Aww.
That would be so much better. It makes me want to find these glasses so I can watch Piranha 3D.
Or Friday the 13th 3D. That's great.
Yes.
Because that's what I thought. Because that's just Friday the 13th in 3D. That's what I thought. That's what I've always thought Jaws 3D was. I just thought it was just like the original Jaws film in 3D.
No. So this movie also held the record for highest grossing 3D movie until it was knocked off by Spy Kids 3 in 2003. So this film has just, like, you know.
Weird, because I thought that the Friday the 13th one would be better.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, so this was a lot of stupid fun. I was sort of a little bit confused as to, because Jaws was like, what, 1977?
78?
78?
Don't know.
And this is 1983. So they go from being small children to grown-ass adults.
Oh, Jaws is 75. 1975.
75. Okay, fine. That's slightly, but there's still 10 years. Not even 10 years. Yeah. But this was so much fun that I just feel everyone needs to take the time out of their day and please watch Jaws 3D.
Should have been in 3D, though. That would have made it so much better as well, wouldn't it?
Just got to rub it in, don't you, Dan?
Yeah, sew the wounds. Okay, let's move.
Fuck you.
Let's move on to homework. So every week, me and Jen set ourselves a horror movie to watch as homework. Then we review it together the following week. Yeah, this week we watched The Burning from 1981, and it was directed by Tony Maylam. Now, Jen, what did you think of The Burning? Or Friday the 13th, basically.
Which is funny because technically this film was written before Friday the 13th. So,
oh, really?
Yes. It is the first feature film for the Weinstein Company as well. And upon watching it, I'm like, yeah, I can see that, you pieces of shit. I have a lot of thoughts, and I really like watching you make your notes as well, because when I went to chuck mine in, I'm like, oh shit, Dan, we've got the same kind of notes. This is fantastic.
Except mine are like often just one word things that don't make any sense. My first note here I'm going to talk about is a little note I like to call story. So the story of the film is there is a bunch of kids at summer camp, and let's just say this summer camp is basically Crystal Lake, hey? Like, it looks like it. It's I reckon it'll be in the same region of America, and it's around about the same time period or whatever, 1981. I don't know when Friday the 13th first one came out. You can check that for me, Jim.
1981.
Oh, same year. Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. A bunch of kids want play a joke on the camp janitor who's a dickhead. And they play a trick on him because I got the assume that he was a little bit of a slow person. But they said that he was mean and stuff like that. So he's like the typical, disabled person that they got that cleans the camp or something like that. Anyhow, they said they've put a skull in his room that has some like candles in its eyes, which scares him a lot. And then he knocks over the skull, and then the whole cabin catches on fire. He catches on fire, and he runs down and jumps into the lake, and that's kind of the end. And so it starts with them basically burning this dude. Now, the thing that I thought was weird, apart from like what's in your notes of how bloody how easily that everything caught on fire in that room, like you never know.
Instantaneous. Instantaneous. Like no, you. I don't think your bedding would catch on fire that quickly. It was basically just like.
He did live in a garden shed. He may have spilled petrol on there from doing the mowing or something like that. Anyhow,
well, there was petrol at one point, and then there was a little bit of an explosion. So
like how flammable he was. Like it was like a little bit of flame hit his leg, and in the next shot, his whole body was engulfed. It's pretty hard to burn anything. Anyhow, he runs and he goes into He runs out into the bush screaming, and he goes into the lake, and then that's the end of like the opening. What is weird about this is that his name, it's from the folklore of Cropsey. So his name is. Have you heard of Cropsey before this?
I have heard of Cropsey before this, yeah. So because it's like a folklore for upstate New York kind of thing.
Yeah, like Staten Island and all stuff like that about like some kids that all went like missing in that. But would this be like the first Cropsey, or do you reckon this is playing on the Cropsey?
I think it's playing on the Cropsey. So I think it's one of the first films to bring up the whole Cropsey thing. Yeah.
So if you don't know what Cropsey is, there's a pretty cool documentary just called Cropsey, which is, I think it was originally on Netflix and that, or you'll be able to get it. It's probably the whole thing is on YouTube. It's just a doco. Watch it. It's pretty crazy, like what they go through in the documentary. It's basically one of those true crime ones where they link it like Cropsey to being someone else, and it's So they blame it on Cropsey. And then it cuts to what is like an amazing hospital montage of them trying to fix up Cropsey, and it was just voiceovers going like, none of the skin attached to him. It's not working, doctor. Oh, he's hideous. And then it just cuts to...
It's been 6 months.
It's been 6 months or whatever. And no, it'd been like years.
I think it had only been a couple of years. It had just the skin grafts they won't take.
Yeah, and stuff. And then they just wheel him, and then they're like, sorry, Cropsey, you have to go. We can't do any more for you. And they just wheel him in a wheelchair out of the hospital and dump him on the streets of New York.
Can I point out that he leaves the hospital dressed for murder? If you're leaving a hospital, you're in track pants, you're in sneakers. If you're in sneakers, you're probably in slippers. You are not dressed in boots, black slacks with a trench coat, gloves, and fedora. You are dressed for murder, not leaving the hospital.
And he's always in shadow. And the first thing he does, he leaves the hospital, right, dressed in his murder outfit, his best Sunday black murder slacks, and he just first thing he does is walk up to a prostitute, take her to somewhere, because her home, and she doesn't see him because he must be like. She can't see his face. He's got his
fedora on.
He's got a fedora, and everyone knows that masks everything. And and then she suddenly sees him. She's like, "Oh my God, you're a monster! Get away from me!" And then he just murders her. And the first thing I notice is the murdering, like the gore in this, is super realistic. Did you notice that?
It was very well. Well, again, we have Tom Savini to thank for that.
Yeah, like you saw, like so he stabs the prostitute in the belly, and you see her jubbly belly because she's not like super thin. She's just like a normal lady. Yeah, and you see the knife going into her belly, and it's soft and looks real. And at first, I was like, "Oh, have I accidentally downloaded like some weird snuff film?" Like, because there were shots in it. I was like, it looks so real, and it never did. It did like kind of like 3/4 shots where you could see her head, her torso, and see the knife going into it. And they did it a couple of times, like the bit where the daggers, his knives go through that dude's neck and pin him against the tree. That was
the best scene as well.
It looked flawless. I was like, it looks completely real. It looks sickeningly real, and I love this. And then,
well, this was one of the first films. So upon its release, this was one of the first films that in the UK was taken off shelves and deemed to be a video nasty. So,
it is. I was shocked.
Yeah,
like, I was like, holy shit. And then it cuts forward. It cuts forward to how many years ago, where the original kids that burnt Cropsey are now old enough that they are camp counselors, and they're in the camp running the camp.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that vibe straight away? Because they did it as a reveal later. I'm like, duh, that was obvious that they're the same kids.
Well, it's just Todd. It's only Todd. So I don't know where all the others went, but as far as it's just Todd.
Oh, okay. So it's just Todd. One of the just one of them, or was it the main guy that instigated the prank?
Yeah, he was one of the guys. Yeah.
Anyway, the main camp counselor, Todd, who is like some dreamboat guy, is now running the camp. And also there's a new bunch of campers there. But what is the best part about this whole film is that one of those campers is Jason Alexander, who, as we all know, is George Costanza from Seinfeld.
This movie is the summer of George.
I know. It actually is. And
it really is.
And he actually, and the first thing I got in this film is like, it's acted quite well. Like all the summer camp scenes and all the characters are all these believable characters. And it seems like it's one of those, like, here living in Australia, we didn't really have summer camp. And to me, it's one of those like fantastical. I kept looking and telling my wife, man, I would have loved to have gone to camp. Look how fun this looks. Like, you hang out with kids, you're all sleeping in bunks. Like, you go canoeing, you do stuff, you wear shorts. Like,
shorts and crop tops.
And Jason Alexander plays like he doesn't play the nerd. He doesn't play the babbling buffoon. He plays a cool dude, and he pulls it off.
Yeah,
nice guy.
He has hair too.
That's very, very true. Well, he is a teenager in it. But his voice is still just George Costanza's. Like,
and he looks like George. He has. It's kind of like, I know he's aged, but looking at him there and looking at him in Seinfeld, aside from the hair difference, he looks exactly the same.
Yeah, he I think though he does as a young person, he did look older than he was, and he eventually became his age, if you know what I mean. Like, but anyhow, you can go on. So what happens next? So it happened next.
So lots of stuff starts happening. This is a bit of a slow burning film, so it takes about 48 minutes into the film. And that's not 48 minutes after the lady died, the prostitute dies. But it takes 48 minutes for the campers to start dying.
But you get a sweet 48 minutes of a camp film before that, which is fine.
You do, and it's so much fun. Like, everything you've described about, like, I love a good summer camp horror. But the idea of going to a summer camp and experiencing that, fuck that. No, I'm out. I don't like people. No. There is no way in hell I could do summer camp. I don't like people. Like, let alone spending 3 months with people.
Is it 3 months? Are you there for that long?
Well, I think it's about 3 months because it's like the whole of summer.
That's crazy.
So let alone spending 3 months with a bunch of bitchy hormonal women, like pubescent hormonal women. Fuck that. I'm out.
And then they had like that Glazer guy that you've written here, like he was like he was supposed to be one of the young campers, except he was clearly as old as all the.
He looked like he was in his 40s.
Yeah, and he played like the weird. He played like the jock, like the violent, dumb jock. But it was weird because he was also he was like the dickhead, but he was also in the main guys kind of group. Like he sat at their table, he's in their bunk beds, you know, their room. Which I guess this is what camp is. Like you can't leave people. You're in their rooms with them.
No. Yeah, and he's such like this oafy guy who just talks about, you know, dick and women and stuff, which is he's just such a horrible character that I just the whole way through I'm just like, I just want to watch you die. You need to die right now. Stop talking, stop doing anything, just fucking die. And he did in the end have the best death scene, I think, out of everyone. It was the longest one. It was dragged out the most. He, you know, full straight through the throat, lifted up and into a tree.
Yeah, so the killer
realistic.
Cropsy kills you with a pair of pruning shears, like massively oversized, sharpened up pruning shears, which are invincible. So yeah, he stuck it through the guy's neck and pinned him to a tree, and it looked real. I was like, oh gad. So this is Savini. No wonder it was so good. It would have been like heyday Savini as well.
Well, Tom Savini turned down Friday the 13th Part 2 to work on this film. So, you know, that's why this film is so good. The Cropsy mask itself, it only took him 3 days to do, which he absolutely hated.
As in now, just like disowned it?
Well, I don't think he's disowned it, but I mean, when you've got 3 days, you come onto a project, you've got 3 days to do something that is meant to be like, you know,
it's terrifying.
This terrifying mask, like, you know. So
when it came up the first time, I was grossed out. I was like, oh god! Like I thought it did the job. It was
really good. Like the scene where that. And, like, Arthur was a bit of a strange character as well. Like, they don't really sort of just explain
Which one was
him.
Arthur?
He was the weird kid that was just staring at everyone.
Oh, yeah, he was a weird kid. So, as in the young... Yeah, there's a main character, which is a young kid, Arthur, and he clearly has some psychological problems. He's a watcher. He sneaks up and just watches people and... You know, he's a nice kid, but yeah, he clearly had that kind of like, it was like he'd been abused, like formally by someone, and like he's turned into one of those, he just like sits and watches people and stuff like that. But he was still in their gang, which I really appreciated. And I really appreciated that he wasn't just belittled the whole film. Like George Costanza's character was nice to him, like just went, no, he's all right. He's just like misunderstood.
You know, and then there was that scene where, you know, Glazer's going off at him and being a real dickhead, and then they're like, let's get him back. We'll do it for you. Like, you say the word and we'll get it done.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of horny teenagers in this film, would you say it? Typical a la, you know, and even counselors, you know, lots of, everyone wants to get a bit, and they do. But then, everything goes to shit. He starts killing everyone. And then, what else happens in it? I'm trying to remember. Oh, the one good thing, though, I'm just going to say this. Jason Alexander survives. I was so happy. Like,
yeah, I know, right? Like, that's for me.
Weird that they actually separated him from all the gore and action. Like, remember, like, there's a bit where they break up into two teams. One goes in a raft away, and the other one stay at land. And they're all girls that stay, and Jason Alexander. Like, like for no reason. Why didn't he go on the raft?
And it was so funny as well because it's like Fisher Stevens. So if anyone remembers Fisher Stevens, he's Ben from Short Circuit. He's probably been in a lot of other stuff, but that's how I remember him. So this was also his first film. He plays a character called Woodstock. And, you know, he's one of the kids that's on the raft, and he's at the front of the raft, and, you know, he's like paddling away, and it's just this front shot, and I'm like, your balls are showing.
Oh, from the short shorts?
I'm like, stop! These shorts are too short.
What about the scene where they give moons? They moon the dude, and then you can see the actor's balls, like which is the same kid.
Balls.
Like you can see balls. Like you don't pull your pants the whole way down in a moon and then show it. Like you pull your pants down low enough to see your bums out, not the whole way down, and then do it towards the camera so you can see everyone can see your balls. Like I was like, I can't believe they put balls in this. Like. And then everything goes to shit. Cropsy starts killing everyone off, and then it turns into at the end, it's just like the main guy Todd. He just goes full Ash from Evil Dead. Did you notice that?
He does. Yes, that was one of my notes. I'm like, oh man, I hope Dan and there's as soon as I'm like typing it up, I'm like, oh yep, there it is. Looks like Ash.
Yeah, so he's got the same jeans, he's got the same blue shirt, it starts to get ripped, he's all sweaty, he's got the same look in his face. Like, he looks like the same character from the original Evil Dead. And he gets like a weapon and stuff like that, and they're fighting Cropsy, and he just was Evil Dead. Like, it was real.
He had an axe.
An axe, that's right. And but then like you're saying here, like all of a sudden they find Cropsy, and for some reason he's got a flamethrower.
Where the fuck did he get the flamethrower?
I know, like, Cropsy.
What?
He's out in the wilderness, out in the forest, and I think they were in Cropsy's lair though. It's weird.
Well, I don't know. So apparently the cave that they were meant to film this in actually collapsed just after scouting. So they found like an abandoned mine. So this was an actual mine that was abandoned. So it could be his lair. Who knows?
Well, just before they went into the mine, they were going through a whole bunch of ruins in the forest, which were clearly real ruins that they were just like, they were just using a great location that they found. And they really reminded me of like there were ruins up our way when we were growing up. It was an old monk monastery that had fallen down. It looked exactly the same, and we called it Mad Monks. And I actually went up there and made a horror movie back in the day called The Mad Monk Massacre, and we shot it there. And it reminded me heaps of the shots, so where they're all filmed from up the top because they're really easy vantage points for filming down into ruins. I'm like, these are all the same shots I used in my stupid film. But yeah, I loved it.
Well, yeah.
And then in the end, so he had a flamethrower, and then in the end, like, his death was pretty gruesome, eh?
Yeah, it was. I found the ending to be a little anticlimactic. It's just kind of like, man, a lot of stuff's happening. Let's get this guy. He's chasing this guy. This is going to happen. And it's done.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. But he gets killed by getting his own scissors or pruning shears in the back all the way through him. Then he gets axed in the head, and the axe goes into his head and a post behind him, which pins him to the post. And then he's clearly dead. And then the weird kid, Arthur, just sets him on fire for no reason. Like, he's already dead. And I'm like, so they burn him twice. He gets burnt twice throughout the movie. Like, so it all starts from them burning him. They clearly didn't learn their lesson because at the end they burned him again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was great. I loved it. I had so much fun with it. Like, there were a few things that I was really sort of, I can watch anything and I don't get mad about a lot of stuff, but like, I thought that there were some like unjustifiable death scenes. So like Karen, she's the first camper to die. And basically like she's off with this guy, Eddie, who's a huge fucking dickhead anyway. And he's like, oh no, it's okay. Like, I like you. Like, let's go
he was like a weird domestic violent guy.
He was, and he was just like, they're in the water and he's kind of like trying to force himself on her, and she's, no, and he's like, yeah, go, come on, like, the 3 no's and a yes is still a yes kind of guy. And she basically goes, nah, I'm out of here, and he's all mad about it as well, which pissed me off. And then so she gets out, and then all her clothes have been taken by Cropsy, and she dies.
And she's like solid naked as well. Like, she's stark.
She is very naked.
She's stark naked. You can see bush. You can see everything. And I'm like, that's a pretty gutsy scene from back then. But then again, maybe she, you know how they tell those young girls trying to get into the industry, you have to go naked.
Well, it is a Weinstein movie.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So I was kind of really frustrated that these and even Glacier, he's like on this girl, like, okay, let's go, and she's like, no, not here, and he's like, why not? Fine, we'll wait. Let's go now, and she's like, no. Just stop. And I was really sort of disappointed that Eddie didn't get a more brutal death. Like, I thought that, every film has unjustifiable deaths. Like, did this character really deserve to die in this way versus the guy that should have died in that way?
I like that there was no death for so long, and suddenly there's that raft scene and everyone dies in like 2 seconds. Like, he just jumps out of the water or wherever he was hiding. They're on a makeshift raft that they've made. And he so all the cuts fingers off. He cutting fingers off. He's stabbing into their face. He's like doing it, and it's all happening like in the period of 1 minute. Like, there's ultra gore. And like these scenes could have been, spread out, but nah, it all happens in one scene.
No.
They're all together, like as well. Like so good.
That's what I love. But I was also very curious because obviously, so when Karen dies, they wake up the next day and they're like complaining to like, where the hell is she? And he's like, I don't know, she got mad at me for some reason and she's disappeared. So all the canoes are gone. So they can't get back. So that's why they're building a raft. And of course, they're rafting down, his Fisher Stevens bowls are showing. And then they find this canoe just floating in the middle of the water. And, they go up to the canoe. And then, Cropsy jumps out of the canoe and starts killing people. I'm like, how long were you sitting there waiting for them to come? What if they'd have gone the other way?
Yeah, I didn't think Cropsy was going to be in there. I thought it was just going to be her corpse.
That would have been just as good. But yeah, for me, that was a bit like, okay, sure.
But overall, I thought it was a solid camp slasher.
I loved it.
It had the gore. It had a great monster. It had characters that were interesting. It had George Costanza. It had, it was just a solid film, like a solid slasher that I can't believe I never saw the first time around. But
no, me neither. It's just one that I've never sort of seen. It's never, I couldn't find it. I had a bit of a rough time trying to track it down. In the end, it's on YouTube. You can watch it for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that's how I watched it.
And the only reason I knew about it is because of that horror documentary. What was that there?
Yes, the 80s horror doc.
Yeah, what's the saying? Like something Into Darkness or something like that? The one that goes for 3 hours?
Darkness.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours, yes.
4 hours.
4 hours. It was a good documentary, but that's how you and I both found this film. So
it works out.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some horror news.
Woo.
Let's do some horror news. Oh, what have I written here? Let us take you on a ride, as some of you may not survive. Welcome to horror news. I forgot I wrote that.
I love it. I love it.
So go. We have our 2 stories this week. What's number 1?
We do. Okay. There's a few different stories this week popping up, but this is one I posted on the Facebook, hoping for a little bit more interaction than we got. Guys, come on. So Kevin Bacon is up for replacing Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger.
Nice.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted this topic to be a little bit more of a talking point for everyone on the page, because everyone I know, who doesn't love A Nightmare on Elm Street? Everyone loves Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Everyone hates Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger in this disgusting remake. So now there's going to be another film. Or they want to be another film.
But this is just like Kevin Bacon is up for replacing Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. This isn't a solid, and
nowhere solid.
Yeah, but you should read the Englund last summer.
So Englund said he's not a kid anymore either, but the rumor I've heard that I like is Kevin Bacon. Kevin loves horror. He's a real actor. He's a character actor. Kevin was great in Tremors. Kevin was great in Stir of Echoes. And I've heard this rumor. We need someone like that to take it on and redo it, exploring all the new technology.
End quote.
And I don't know.
Is it weird that someone that the last name is Bacon is going to play a burnt person? So it'd be like crispy.
Yes. I mean, a lot of the comments we have had, and thank you very much, guys. I love puns and wordplay. They've all been relative to that. So I'm all for that. But
I don't know. I'm looking at his face here. It's hard because like Freddy's makeup, it wasn't a mask. Is it a mask or is it just makeup? His mask. I remember it took him hours to do each day.
Like, I'm pretty certain it is makeup, but it is like, a head cast or something, like one of those silicone head casts, I think. I don't know. Like, I don't really foresee, I don't see Kevin Bacon as being overly charismatic.
But it's all those things, like, you think something isn't going to be good, and then an actor just comes through and just nails it. Like, there's a reason why these people are actors. It's because they're good at lying. So, I could imagine if he's got the voice, I think it's the voice that really makes Freddy. The ha ha ha, how he laughs and stuff like that. And
but even then, when have you seen Kevin Bacon go full ham? Sorry. When have you seen him do anything like that? I think the only thing, because I was having this conversation with someone. Actually, I was just talking at someone about this. They were probably just zoned out. The only thing I've ever really seen him in where he sort of has fun with himself and with the role is when he's playing himself in Will and Grace. That's the only time that I see him having fun with what he's doing.
Tremors, though, was good. He was funny in that.
I can't remember Tremors.
Tremors, he was like a country hickey kind of guy that said something, look at the ass end of this one, and stuff like that. Like, he could. Sure. I mean, there's what was he in Hollow Man as well? Hollow Man was that was a horror. He'd say, I don't know, man. Like, it's one of those hard things. You can never tell who's going to be good as Freddy. Like, all I do know is that the latest Freddy was not a good Freddy.
It was not.
Like, I always figured Freddy's really tall as well because he's always quite big and he lifts kids up. What?
Yeah, Robert Englund, he's small.
Is he?
I mean, because like you remember in him in Freddy vs. Jason. He's not that tall a guy.
Yeah, but Jason's supposed to be huge. He has like big clomping boots.
He's a mammoth.
He's a mammoth.
So I don't know, like, but again, like in my head, it's kind of like you with the Evil Dead thing. In my head, this is who Freddy Krueger is. This is what a Nightmare on Elm Street is. If you then stray away, it's not going to be okay. But it probably will be. Who knows?
I've got that thing as well. Is Nightmare on Elm Street not able to be remade in this day and age and how we think? You know what I mean? Like, as in, like, he said heaps of un-PC stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, it's
like, you know what I mean?
How do you make a politically correct horror film?
There are politically correct horror films, but like Freddy's main thing that everyone laughed at was him like calling women bitches and like and stuff like that. And I just don't know if people would think that's funny still. They'd be like, ooh. So they'd have to do him.
Say that now.
Yeah, or it's not just that. It's just like the people just, you can say it, but it'll just go down like a lead balloon. People just be like, that's not. So we're it's like if he was like just doing like gay jokes and stuff, like whenever there's these horror movies that we're watching, and there's people going, you know, this and that, and like, you know, making slurs against gay people, and then they think it's funny. It even happened like when I was watching Clerks 2 the other day, and I was cringing at some of like the gay jokes. I'm like, man, we have really moved on since that time, which is nice.
We have. I was rewatching Bill and Ted, and you know, there's that scene where they go and hug, and then they back away, and they're like, "Fag."
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah, and it seems really weird, and it's disappointing. Do you notice to yourself? You go like, "Oh my god!" Like, but it's not the film's fault because at the time, that was. I mean, there's
completely acceptable.
Yeah, it was completely acceptable. And if anything, it was the thing that, and I've said this before with other things, it's the thing that needed to be said to make, it was the first step in making it more acceptable.
Yeah.
And then, you know, putting it into the mass media, just the idea of like, just even talking about like the gay community and then moving it from there. But it has changed. But at the time, it was probably needed, but now it's not needed anymore, kind of thing, if you know what I mean. I mean, I might be getting completely wrong as someone who's not. I mean, you're part of the LGBT community. What do you think?
I am. I'm weird. Like, I'm not overly. I mean, there are certain things that are said and done that I'm not okay with, but then there are other sort of things that are said and done, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, I'm not gonna be upset by that because you kind of just realize that, well, that's how people are, and that shouldn't be the thing. That should not be the thing. Everyone needs to learn and grow and be better. Just be better. But I don't know. Like, I don't.
People are doing getting better. There's a lot of better out there. But my point is that I think the majority of what Freddy, the epitome of the old Freddy, is stuff that is not as PC as it is these days. That you can't probably just get away with. And then, like, what humor do you replace Freddy with? I think it should be heaps of swearing. It should have heaps of swearing. Because Nightmare on Elm Street didn't have swearing in them that much.
No. And I love swears.
Yeah, same here. Funny swearing is funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I love swears.
Get him saying heaps funny, like, swear words, like dick bags and, like fuck face. Fuck face is one of my most favourite, like, swear words ever. Imagine him going, Like, your turn now, fuckface. And I'm like, I could do it. That's funny. You know what I mean? Like, that's, I reckon. And so turn away from, like the misogyny and just turn it to, like, the swearing and the violence. Like, make the gore scenes ridiculous and work hard. Work hard on the dreamscapes and stuff. Like, and getting back to Dr. Sleep, the bits, do you remember when they astro traveled in that to find people? And how cool that was? Like, they would so gravity would shift to the gravity of the person you were trying to, find, kind of, and then you'd move around the world and then you'd come in, and it was a gravity cool thing, and it seemed really dreamlike. And I thought that's the shit they need in Nightmare on Elm Street. They need to have fights on the sides of buildings and stuff where gravity is a perception of the person dreaming and stuff like that. And I reckon that would be cool.
That would be great.
And and not bloody Inception dreaming. To me, that didn't seem like a dream at all in Inception. Did you find that it never seemed like they were in a dream? It was like, no. This isn't right. You need to accept things in the dream, because when you're in a dream and weird shit's happening, you accept it.
You got to go with it.
Yeah, and so it's just like a flow of the person who's having the dream. So it has to be them dictating the surroundings and stuff like that, like through their movements and actions, but they don't find it weird or some shit.
Yeah. So less misogyny and let's say no misogyny, no homophobia, big swears.
Big swears. Great gore. Yeah, great gore as well. Like, ridiculous gore. Like, use...
I want more gore.
Yeah, have, like... And because he can do anything. Like, this Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Like, the snake. Like, and stuff like, coming out the floor and going around. Like, those scenes. Like, they're so good. Like, the TV. Like, coming out of the TV and grabbing the girl with these, like, electronic arms and... all those things.
More practical. I want practical effects. Practical. No CG. No CG. Okay, a little bit of CG.
Nah.
Just a little bit, but
just for little tiny things. Like, for eyes. Putting when they put eyes on things and it's with CG and it looks really good. Like they did in Hellboy and stuff like that, and Pan's Labyrinth and that kind. Like their level of Pan's Labyrinth CG. Yeah, that's what we want. Like you need to take out a leg or a puppeteer's stick or something like that. But I reckon that's just what you need. Like a good solid. Just a redo of like the humor and what it is to be Freddy. And Kevin Bacon could do that.
Well, I'm not sold on it, but I'm interested to see that if something does eventuate out of this, I am very interested to see where it will go and how it will go.
And they should make it. He's a child murderer, but he's not a child fucking rapist.
Yes.
And they should set it in the fucking 80s. It'd be wicked.
Yes.
Set it in the 80s. Don't have it now.
Everything should just be set in the 80s.
You don't have to worry about phones. You don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, you can just go.
Phones ruins everything.
Yeah, just go ham.
It's like, okay, let me just type in, I need a sleep thing. Okay, I've got an app for that. I'm out.
Yeah.
No, you don't want that.
Do that Stranger Things vibe, set it in the 80s. Everyone loves the 80s. 80s is the birth of horror. Set it in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And then not only have you got a solid horror and you've redone it, but you've got a solid period piece of nostalgia. And that's what you need. That's what the new Freddy didn't have. It didn't have any nostalgia attached to it. It was like
exactly. It wasn't fun.
Clinical. Stupid thing.
It's a shit. Grumble. Yep. I love it. That's why I put that in there.
All right.
I love a discussion and a grumble.
A grumble? Oh, man, I am going completely off topic and nothing to do with horror. Or it is horror. Right. Have you looked into, Kelsey Grammer?
Yes.
As in Frasier? Have you looked into his life, of what's happened to him throughout his whole life?
No, but I hear he's a bit of an asshole.
Maybe. It's pretty crazy, man. Like his life starts off with like his dad getting murdered, like, and then it goes into his sister getting kidnapped, raped, and murdered.
What?
And then his two stepbrothers, one drowns and one gets eaten by a shark. And then he becomes an alcoholic and addicted to cocaine because of all the shit that's happened to him. And then like he
Uh-huh.
goes to and then he gets a wife who abuses him and like physically abused him. And then when he broke up with her, she killed herself and their unborn baby that they had. Like, and then it's so crazy what that dude's been through. No wonder he's an arsehole.
Wow.
And then he's had like 4 miscarriages with other women. He's been married 4 times. But at the end of the day, he has 7 children now.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of children.
Anyhow, that's nothing to do with. I mean, it is horror. Bull. Like I never knew that about him. Like, and it's just so crazy to think
we
that.
all need to take a moment and just, oh, poor Kelsey Grammer. Fuck.
Look up his life. It's crazy. Like, it just should be a movie. Like, it would be unbelievable. Like,
yeah. Holy shit. Okay, sending positive vibes to Kelsey Grammer today.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's what all the cool kids say, Dan.
No, they're not. All right, what's our story number 2?
Okay, so Nicolas Cage enters an animatronic horror in Willy's Wonderland.
Willy's Wonderland. Sure, why not? Now,
yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because I wanted to say Willy's Wonderland. That's it. No other reason.
I've read about this, and I've been reading about this film and like what it's about. So it's basically he is a worker that works at like a fun place or whatever they're called, and he gets trapped there overnight with these demonic animatronic things, possessed animatronic things. And I'm like, why has no one mentioned the word Five Nights at Freddy's in this whole article?
Yeah, so because at the same time, the same time that this is happening, Blumhouse is working on a Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
So you reckon
which is the exact same premise. So these 2 films are going to come out probably around the same time and be very similar, and people are just going to be like, but isn't this just Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah, well, basically. Willy's Wonderland. Apparently it was originally called Wally's Wonderland, and they've changed it for some reason. I wonder if that's because of Wally World out of National Lampoon's Vacations.
Quite possibly. See, another great 80s film. Yeah, I'm curious as to how they feel that they're going to do this, because of course, I don't know if you've seen the Banana Splits movie, which came out last year or the year before, which is essentially the same premise as both of these films. Yeah, except it's the Banana Splits.
Isn't it weird that, have you ever tried to play, is it Five Nights at Freddy's? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, I've never played it.
I tried to play it because it was massive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like a phenomenon and whatever. And I'm like,
I don't know. It was massive for kids.
Yeah, like you don't do anything in it. You just watch. You're just sitting there and you kind of, and then I'm like, how did I die? You know what I mean? Like, I don't get what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there is a way.
I know it's really popular. Like, I still get kids going, hey, do you have any Five Nights at Freddy's stuff? I'm like, no.
Yeah. No.
But it's still insanely popular, which is fantastic. But yeah, I don't know. It could be a really good slow burn kind of horror, but it wouldn't be a kids horror film.
No.
I don't even think you couldn't even market it towards kids.
No. Horror for kids is stuff like, Ghost House and stuff like that, whatever. Can't remember that.
Yeah.
Monster House, that was it.
That was actually a really good film.
Yeah, I like that film as well.
From what I can remember. It's been a long time.
I mean, you could. I mean, the idea of possessed animatronic things is pretty terrifying. It's kind of cool. Yeah. It's got that vibe of like, if you remember in Silent Hill Part 3, when you first come into it, like you're in an amusement park and there's all those dead rabbits, like the mascots rabbits, and there are people dead in them with the blood all over them, like, which I always thought was really weird and scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got that vibe to it, like animatronics, man, like, because robots are so violent and like sharp, and then you've got these soft, furry outsides to them. It's kind of like the weirdness you get of watching Meet the Feebles, the idea that they're like puppets with gore inside of them. What was that recent one?
Yeah.
That has the lady from Ghostbusters in it. The Happy Time Murders? Is that what it's called?
The Happy Death Time Murders? I know the one that you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, did you watch that?
I did.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, but I don't think it was ever going to be.
I liked, wasn't it their drugs that the Muppets had with like glitter and sugar that they snorted?
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
there was a few really interesting moments in that one. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know, like if you kind of want to check out a film that's available now that has this whole animatronic demon possessed kind of horror, just check out the Banana Splits movie.
Right.
That was a lot of fun and super gory, and it had everything, like it had exactly that.
You think Nicolas Cage just has a wish list that he ticks stuff off that he wants to do, and it just so happens that he's always wanted to be in a possessed animatronic movie?
I think so, but I like that they're calling it. It's I see this movie as Pale Rider versus Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Now I don't know what the hell Pale Rider is, but Killer Clowns from Outer Space, yeah, I'm okay with that. Like I like that movie. That's fine.
I like Puppet Master. I was a fan of Puppet Master when I was growing up.
Okay.
Every time they had a new Puppet Master film out and it introduced the new character on the cover, like introducing Torch or something like that, like the new puppet.
Well, there's like 11 of them now.
Well, yeah, I only saw like 4.
Well, this one they're Nazis. There's like Puppet Master the Littlest Reich, and then like little puppet Nazis. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Nicolas Cage is a funny guy. Like he, what was that one recently I watched? The Color of Space, The Color in Space.
Yeah, I haven't.
Color of Space or whatever it was called, like the very
the H.P. Lovecraft one.
Yeah, was that H.P. Lovecraft story?
Yes, it was.
The main problem I had with that film was I really enjoyed it, but the main problem is that like they're just like it's this color, a new color, and then like it shows the color, and then you're like it's pink, like that's not a new color. Like they could have made a new color, and I mean, I know you can't physically make a new color, but you could have done it as like a spiraling, trapezoidy, rainbowy thing. You know, it's something that was hard to pinpoint on what color it was, like visually. But yeah, it was just like the color that it was just that that super hot pinky purple that is so en vogue at the moment. You know that beautiful color.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
Yes.
That's a small hour.
Okay. I still haven't watched it yet. It's on my list, but
it's got some truly horrific scenes in it.
I can imagine. But Nicolas Cage, I think that they're just beyond the point of him auditioning for things. I think they could just kind of like they've got something set up near him when he wakes up in the morning. He's like, today I am going to be this person. They're like, let's make it into a movie, guys. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Well, what are we doing today, Mr. Cage? Oh, I've got this glass full of M&Ms.
Whatever the fuck I want, that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm okay with it. Like, he's done a lot of great films he's done a lot of shit films in his time. But they're always just so entertaining. So, yeah, whatever he wants to do.
So now we got to work out what homework are we going to do. I've got some. Have you noticed I've written some ideas here that I've been brainstorming?
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, is there any of these you haven't seen? So the list I have at the moment is Fright Night, which I have seen, but I cannot remember once. And I looked at some screenshots and I'm like, oh man, it's like a kid's teen film. And this might be really cool, like a la Monster Squad.
Oh, see, it's been a very, very long time since I've seen Fright Night. And it's because I was also talking about Salem's Lot today. And I'm like, I can't recall the last time I ever saw that. So, yes. But looking at what you've got so far, I've not seen any of those.
You've not seen the Hidden, Altered States, so. The Funhouse, Of Unknown Origin, which is our old mate Cosmatos, and with Peter Weller as the main actor.
Who the hell's Peter Weller?
RoboCop, that guy.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh.
In every Wicked film, like Leviathan, he was in with Cosmatos as well, and then...
Yeah. Is he going to shoot someone's dick off?
Well, we can only assume. And then we got Life Force, which is a space vampires at high school.
Very good.
I know. Okay. So which one out of those ones do you want to... I'll let you pick. I've only seen Fright Night, but I'm exactly the same as you. So these are all just like... The Hidden I remember seeing as a kid, and I can't remember very well at all.
Okay.
Altered States is like an old school, but from what I got from vibe of it is like a kind of a Beyond the Black Rainbow vibe. And the Funhouse is an old, like an 80s like practical effects freak movie.
Yeah, that one actually is appealing to me because I always remember seeing the VHS cover and I've never actually seen it. So,
all right, you want to do Funhouse?
I think we should do Funhouse.
Right, I'm going to. So next week, homework. Everyone get onto the Funhouse from. We should tell people in case they want to do this with us. What one it is? The Funhouse from 1981, and it was directed by Tobe Hooper. Oh, why do I know that name?
Toby Hooper.
Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Poltergeist. Oh, he did. He's Life Force as well, which is the vampire one.
And he also did Salem's Lot.
So that's what we got. We might have a good one on our hands. So,
I think so.
The Funhouse. I'm going to move that up to our section here.
You should be able to watch it if you are having any trouble. It should be on Amazon Prime, and you could probably track down a copy on YouTube.
Yeah, there's lots of us on YouTube. So a little bit of housekeeping for today. So we are obviously TerrorVision Horror Podcast. We have on all major podcasting streaming services around the globe. So please go over there and give us a star rating if you like what you've heard today. Leave a comment or follow. As I've not written in my notes, I've written floor. So don't floor us though, whatever that means. Give us a follow over there, over on Soundcloud or Stitcher or Spotify or iTunes or the other ones. There's a whole bunch of them.
We are on iHeartRadio now.
iHeartRadio, yeah, that worked out. YouTube as well. Go over there. We have this as a VOD, a video on demand. So follow us over there. Give us a thumbs up and a comment over there. All this stuff really, really helps us get out there. We have an Instagram. Go to TerrorVision Pod over on Instagram. We also have an TerrorVisionPod@gmail.com if you wanted to send us an email or tell us how crap we are or anything like that. Do you have any personal housekeeping that you want to do, Jen?
No, I'm really overworked right now, so I'm just living my best life day to day, having naps. So just wait until after end of financial year, and then I can tell you to start doing all this stuff.
Ooh,
so.
You'll be kipping up a storm.
Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
So if you enjoy my voice, you can also listen to me over on Hack the Dino over on YouTube and SoundCloud as well, where that is a podcast like this, but is all about video games. I do that with a team of dudes with Braden and Ben and Floppy as well. We also do a fortnightly news program about video games as well over on YouTube. So check out Hack the Dino if that's something that floats your boat. And also, if you're in Adelaide and you want to read a bit, head over to Greenlight Comics, which is the comic shop that I own. And yeah, that's it, really.
Love it.
And I'm going to sign off, I reckon. So, and until next week, may all your dreams be nightmares.